All right, so let's see. I'm in the shot here. Okay, so it is still September 14th. A little bit, yeah, still, it's what, 11:50-ish? So it's still September 14th, 4 days after the deer incident. So yeah, 4 days. And today was a kind of roller coastery day, you know. And I just got back from a walk, and walks are very good. They generally help me just kind of think very well. So well that I can't quite articulate it. But I certainly thought about things, and we'll get to that. But, what the hell is that sound? So the point is, I just want to go through the whole day just so it kind of jogs my memory. I started writing stuff down, and, you know, this is becoming a sort of, what do you call it, a habit here. Maybe we can do this every day. I don't know. I woke up at about 6 or 7. In fact, let me, all right, this is, well, I can see the time. It doesn't matter. Okay, let's just go. So I woke up around 6 or 7. I went to bed, I don't know what, I slept enough, right? And there was the kind of anxiety that, the great thing was it was the sort of anxiety that's the usual of what the fuck am I doing today? Nothing to do. It's just this, Jesus Christ, another day's here and I've got nothing to do. You know? And it's just the usual crap came back, you know? It's like, what am I doing with my life? That sort of thing. It's like, well, I could do these videos. I could start talking about the stuff, right, but that's hard, you know? You know, and I'm still sort of, with the deer incident, again, I hit a deer a couple days, you know, go look at that. If this video goes up, those have been up. Still have not uploaded the rest of the videos, by the way, but from all the way back in July. But I'm still sort of freaked out that, you know, it's this loneliness, this splendid isolation. It's like, holy shit, this is not good. You know, if I'm in a tough bind, it's just, you know, it's really not going to end well, you know. And it's just a kind of panickiness that, what the fuck? I am not articulating these. Now it's the flow the flow is not as good as it will. That's fine. We'll get to it. You know, but I remember thinking as I'm kind of awake that, well, even if I got stuck in the middle of nowhere, as I sort of did 4 days ago, you know, I still could call somebody, and there could be situations like that. In this case, I could have called somebody, and it would have been if I had somebody to call, if I had somebody close like that, I could have called them per se. But there are other shitty situations you could be stuck in if there's no cell reception, that you can't really rely on somebody. That's the point. So it's like, you know, there's still some practical things that would have to be done. You know, that sort of thing. So it's not a panacea. It's not like you got a magical genie. You know, so and, you know, I could call a tow truck. I could call the rental thing. And part of it is I've never been in a situation like this. So the newness of it is also, you know. But anyways. So, you know, that kind of calmed me down. It's like, okay, no, that's fine, whatever. So I slept some more. There was a leaf blower that woke me up. I just hate that here. I'm right out on the street here, and the leaf blowers, if they come by, they just wake me up. But I got up at 11, so I had a full night's of sleep. I went to bed 2, 3-ish, I think. But, you know, the anxiety kind of came back, you know, again, and part of it's like, what am I doing today? You know? And it's been tough. I know what to do, which is this sort of stuff. It's been years of just not really doing anything, you know. And then it's like, well, we could do this stuff, the stuff I've been talking about, the family stuff, some of the bigger brain stuff that I've been thinking about. We could redo some of the Guerreros, but no, it's just so fucking hard to talk about this. And we'll get to why, maybe by the end of this video. We got 5 minutes down. You know, this is not going to. Yeah, that's fine. You know, that's the thing with this. So yeah, I gave myself sort of a pep talk where it was like, okay, the pep talk is, yeah, it's pretty daunting. You know, why am I afraid? Okay, so specifically, let's not beat around the fucking bush here anymore. I fucking hate it. That's been the problem. So again, when I was, let's say, in 2006, I graduated high school 2004. So about when I was 20, I started reading a book like this. This wasn't the only one, but this is what's right here in front of me. Toxic Parents by ignorant slut Susan Ford, as we all know. And part of it was my parents were kind of garbage to me, right? They were just awful, awful people. The military school incidents, the go-to example, they threatened to, they threatened to send me to a military school when I was in high school. And I was making good grades. I wasn't doing drugs. I wasn't smoking. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't, having sex or anything. But that's just my awful mother, She just needed the drama, so just started, And, that's a threat of abandonment. And then I realized, even when I was a child, my first memory of my mother was her threatening to send me to an orphanage. And I believed it. And it was terrorizing. And it was awful. And I knew I couldn't talk to them about that, And the other problem is, which is a much bigger problem, is who the hell can you talk about this stuff with? You look at the comment sections on even the other go-to example, Dr. Phil stuff. Not even kind of mainstreamish and you have cases of pretty awful child abuse, spanking or beating, and then everyone's like, well, I had it worse, and blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, that doesn't excuse it. So you have, I think, way too many people who just have this Stockholm syndrome with abusive people in their lives, including their parents. And it's just been extremely difficult for me to find people who are kind of on this level. That's not the only thing, and there's a million other things, and it's hard to explain it all of a sudden. But what is my fear with this? So why is it, I'm a smart guy. I could read through this. I could talk about it. I could say, here's some problems with this book. Here's where it doesn't talk about it. And I have these grand plans. I'll read this book, that book. Molyneux actually talks about this. Stephen Malibu of Free Romanian Radio talks about this. I've listened to all his podcasts. I could there's a lot of things I could do, and then I don't do anything. And that's what I've been thinking about today and every day for the last, 5 years. And part of it is the fear of failure, which is maybe there's just not enough people who care about this stuff, in which case, well, why do this, the fear of failure, right? But I don't do it, so I could try, right? And there's that doubt of, well, can I even do this, The stuff that's already out there, like this book, it's good enough, right? It's not like, oh, it's so terrible. And precisely because it's good enough, is there any kind of improvement I can add to this that would make it better enough for me to talk to and attract the right kind of people? And maybe not. It's also a little embarrassing, to talk about this stuff, but I don't think that embarrassment's mine, I don't think it's, the embarrassment is just a way, I think, that the embarrassment is not mine. It's really just a way for those abusers to kind of control you. I think they just implant that embarrassment. Oh, you can't talk about this, Well, fuck you, I am, so. And then, what's the point of all this? It's going to be a failure. I'm not going to find the right people. And then for me, a lot of it does go to suicide. And then you can't talk about that either. And then you have to bury that as well. Well, we're not burying that any longer, right? And because I don't do anything, now we're doing this, the video's good. But because I generally don't start reading these books, I don't do any sort of content with this. I don't put myself out there. I don't put this stuff out there. Because of that, I just get this anxiety. And I can't find people. I get the anxiety about that. But then I don't put anything out. And then the anxiety is sometimes, because anxiety is good. It's like, you know, you're feeling bad, go fucking do this. But then I don't do it, and then I get more anxiety. And then a lot of the times the anxiety just creates that kind of paralysis where you can't even do this. You know, it's just you're paralyzed. I'm in a state of shock almost, you know. And, you know, I kind of went on a walk today, and I thought about these sort of things, you know. And again, you know, the videos that still haven't gone up, but will be if this is going up, about the fan and the Huntsville stuff, those 6-7 videos, you know, this has been a long time coming, and I'm not saying I'm glad I got hit by the deer, you know, the car's in the shop, and, you know, hopefully that'll resolve itself, but it seems to have been a sort of good thing where it's like, no, we got to start working on this. Like, you know, this fear of putting myself out there, this fear of failure, it's kind of embarrassing to talk about. No, we got to do, like, there's nothing else, right? This is it. You know, we have to start talking about this stuff. And again, even before the deer incident, I mean, on the kayak, I think I have the audio files for it where I call Susan Ford an ignorant slut, very famously. You know, I think that's right, yeah. I was talking about it then, right? So I was kind of alluding to it. But it's slow because I have to be comfortable talking about this stuff, and I can't just sit down and just start reading this, and here's my... And yeah, it's a rocky sort of road, a rocky road where there's lots of deer to hit, you know, and yes, so pep talk, Rero. Yeah, I actually had I had the little pep talk in the morning around noon. I also sort of talked out loud about I didn't record it, but, and that's the thing, is sometimes I do talk out loud, kind of practicing what I would say. Is it more rambling than this? Probably. Again, that's more rambling than I get it, yes. But it's like, I have things to say, but then it's like, oh, it's not going to work, and oh, it's embarrassing, and that shit, you know? Oh, went on a run today, everybody. I went to a middle school nearby here. Generally, they're open on the weekends, but they had some football game there, so I didn't want to embarrass them and show off on my running. So I ran around the neighborhood here. I think I found a path that's about a mile, and I measure. It doesn't matter. The point is, it was a 5:49. That's not going to take me to the Olympics, but that's a sub 6-minute mile in almost 100-degree weather here. Now the great thing about the neighborhood trail here is it's a mile, but it's covered trees, so there's no direct sun, whereas on the tracks there are. Now the best time I got on the track out there is 5:45. So it's a few seconds off, and that's fine, whatever. So kind of had dinner, nice long dinner, went swimming, that sort of thing. And then went on the nice little walk here. And oftentimes with these walks, what happens is, you know, I kind of run through these things in my mind. Maybe I'm listening to something, maybe, and then I feel good about it. Even if I had like a bad day or the anxiety was up and I wasn't doing anything, it still feels good to talk about it. And part of the talking about it is, okay, not all hope is not lost. Okay, I could do this book, I could read through the... So I come up with these plans, but the problem is I never actually execute on any of them. It's like, oh, I feel good, the anxiety's kind of gone, oh, I could do these things, and then it's like, oh, never do it, right? And again, we're inching towards that here, right? We're doing this. This is great. Again, have not uploaded any videos thus far, but one of these days I think I will. You know, it's kind of good to just record these knowing there's no rush to put these up, whatever, you know. And maybe you can tell that I'm a little bit more fluid today on these things. And yeah, it's just tough putting this stuff out there because part of it is I don't have the hope that it's going to work, and then it just doesn't come out the right way. You know, it's like, what's the point of talking about this stuff if I don't have any hope? And then, well, I don't know. I don't know if that makes any sense. Let's try that again. Am I still in the shot? Doesn't matter. So yeah, it's a tough thing, because if I don't have the hope, then I can't really do anything. And then when I sit down to do it, it's, ooh, well, you know, it's going to fail anyways, and it's just tough to get started. But, you know, that was part of moving here, which is it's my house, it provides at least some stability and whatever. But the closer I get to trying to do this stuff, you know, it just becomes, then that's where the anxiety comes out. And it's kind of like I just got to rush to that. You know, it's like, no, we can do this. Or at the very least, yeah, it's been a tough couple weeks and months because of that. I am getting closer to this stuff. I'm getting closer to actually kind of launching this. And well, this is already, you know, but it's not easy. It's not easy, but I can't be complacent, you know. That's the great thing about the anxiety, is it is pushing me towards doing this stuff. It's no longer enough for me to just kind of fantasize about, oh, I could do this, and okay, fine, maybe. No, we got to do this. We got to do this now. It's just, you know, I'm 34 now. On my birthday, happy birthday, you got hit by a fucking deer, you know? It's like, there's just nothing left to do here except to do this. So I don't know if that makes any sense. I think it does. Yeah, I'm running out of things to say after 15 minutes. Wow, okay. Well, we don't have to stretch it out to the 27 4 gigabyte limit. But yeah, and this is not, again, the other issue with this is it's not a short-term thing. Like I have to put this out there, and it's going to be a while until, and if anything is out there. And now I can still visualize it and say, maybe it is going to be a total failure. Maybe there just isn't enough people to build anything worth building. There's just not enough people that this kind of, and it's not just this, but the other stuff, you know, there's just not enough to have. That's fine. And you know, I'm at a point where, okay, fine, but let's just try it. Okay, let's just fucking try it. Let's just put this stuff out there, and let's see where the cookie crumbles or things fall or whatever, you know? And part of that is to say, not to say suicide is okay or whatever, but, you know, if that's where it ends up, I don't care. I don't even care anymore, you know? And that's part of the hell of this, is I can't talk about the stuff I want to talk about. Because of that, I get the anxiety. Can't talk about that. Then can't talk about the suicidality. Can't talk about, and it's just this hell, this isolation of hell. And again, part of it is most people are totally indifferent to this. Most people are hostile to this. You know, you question some of the stories in here. You know what? We got a couple minutes. I can thumb through this here. The first example. Let's see here. That Susan Ford uses. Let's see. Gordon, 38, is successful. I'm also listening to the audiobook as well. Gordon, 38, a successful orthopedic surgeon, came to see me when his wife of 6 years left him. He was desperate to get her back, but she told him she wouldn't even consider coming home until he sought help for his uncontrollable temper. She was frightened by his sudden outburst, blah, blah, blah. When I asked him about his parents, he smiled and painted a glowing picture, especially of his father, a distinguished Midwestern cardiologist. Quote, "If it weren't for him, I wouldn't become a doctor. He's the best. His patients all think he's a saint." I asked, this is Susan Ford, I asked him what his relationship with his father was like now. He laughed nervously and says, "It was great until I told him I was thinking about going into holistic medicine. You'd think You think I'd wanted to be a mass murderer? I told him about 3 months ago, and now every time we talk, he starts ranting about how he didn't send me to medical school to become a faith healer. Susan Forward continues, while Gordon was describing his father, who was obviously not as wonderful as Gordon would like me to believe, I noticed that he began to clasp and unclasp his hands in a very agitated way. I asked Gordon whether his father had always been so tyrannical, and Gordon says, no, not really. I mean, he yelled and screamed a lot, and I got spanked once in a while, like any other kid, but I wouldn't call him a tyrant. And those are very typical responses. Very many people are just stuck in this family cult system. I mean, it's just, there's no other way to put it. And I get that, and that's fine. The passivity, I think we talked about that last time. It's been a lot easier for me to sniff around and look around and hope to find like-minded people. And I tried that, with the Molyneux stuff, but there was nothing really built out of that. So obviously it's easier to join something than try to build something yourself, but that's what it is. There has been really nothing around that I could show up to and say, yep, this is good stuff. And again, not just about this, and again, my criticism of stuff like this is, all right, Susan, is there an address here? Because the problem is not toxic okay, a lot of parents do this stuff. It's not, the bottom 5% of parents. It's really not. It's really not. Because if it were, with the military school incident where my parents threatened to send me to a military school, I remembered all the other threats of abandonment they gave me. How come I could never talk to anyone else about it? Because, everybody else is so wonderful. How come nobody talks about these sort of things? All right? Yeah. Yeah. And, I'm feeling good about it, and I'm sure I'm going to have the anxiety stuff tomorrow, and I'm sure that, of course. But that's what it is, is I just gotta be a little more, put my balls on and actually do this and actually talk about it. Because, you look at a lot of those psychologist websites, it's like everyone listening to this, just go see a psychologist. It's like, yeah, go read those websites. Is there anything specific there? And that's always the problem with these things, It's like these people sort of hide themselves. And if my problem is I could never talk to my parents about their bullshit, I couldn't talk to other people, what do I expect from people who don't really put themselves out there? All right? So that's the other issue with it. Anyways, I think this was a good little chat. Maybe this will be an everyday thing. My actual diary is going to be very, very jealous of this. That this is going to be a video production here. But, because I do a daily audio journal as well. I'm going to continue doing that too. But, this is good. This is good. And again, at some point, it's going to be more than this kind of self-referential stuff. We're actually going to get into some content about books, about audiobooks I've read. We'll actually get to more. But this has to be it. I have to be able to just practice just talking out loud, talking about these sort of topics, why it's important to me, because it's not, well, this book is important because blah, 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 blah. No, it's important because it's about my life. It's about, what I lived through. The fact that, yes, I read this in 2006. 2006, that is, 13 years ago. And it's more than just my shit parents, because if it's not just my shit, if it is just my shit parents, how come I can't talk to a single other person about this? I tried putting it out there. Nobody was interested. Where is it that you can show up and say, yeah, first of all, it's not, you get it. All right? So that's the other problem with this. is I wish it was, yeah, my shit parents and then everybody else is so wonderful. But they're not. You know? But they're not. And that's fine. It's I can say that out loud. And I've had periods of time where I could think this, but now it's on video, and at some point it's gonna go up. And great, you know, I can deal with this. So there we go.